Hello and welcome to Pens, Paint and Whiskers. This is yet another sketchbook tour, and today I'll be looking at this lovely sketchbook. This was March 2025 to April 2025, so approximately a little bit over a month. So started in March and ended in April. So more or less a month. And this is my Jester page. Again, I was inspired by, I believe, a Pinterest board of jesters and clowns. And so I really like this sort of, they're almost animalistic looking. This cat lady, so she's a cat courtesan, I called her. And this fellow here is more monkeyish, so I really like how his and her and him, both their facial features came out. So both are actually made in Ohuhu water-based markers. And they've got some metallic little stars and bells on them. And on the opposing page, these two fellows are more jesters. So I went more human looking with these. And once again, I'm loving the features. They're both done in, I suppose I didn't want to do a lot on their facial features. I just wish to emphasize the grin that particularly he has. So my way of getting around that was all black. And it worked out, I think. And these are my, well, somebody told me they look a little bit like biblically accurate angels, but what I call them is the angels of Venice. I think I was at that, certainly at that time of the year, I was inspired by the masquerades and the carnival season. So yeah, I decided to depict these strange carnival beings that are in Venice and only come out that time of year, and sort of winged beings. And I don't know whether these are masks or they are their faces, I'm not sure. But these are done in Ohuhu watercolour markers, and the entire background is a Posca gold. And it's got more metallic stars all over them. And this fellow here, he is my... I seen a medieval portrait or an artwork on Pinterest of it's like a plague coming to a town, or death and destruction, even maybe war coming to a town, and he was accompanied by a boar, a pig maybe, a boar. And I thought it would be interesting to depict the pig as a skeleton, and himself as a skeleton too, and he has skeleton parts, and perhaps he's warning townsfolk. I do like doing skeletons, but sometimes with animal skeletons requires an awful lot of references and a lot of research going into it, but I'm happy with the way the pig turned out. I particularly like his hooves, so he was very interesting to do. I made him in ink. I'm not sure of the ink, but he was black ink. And this fellow here is Ohuhus again. Oh yes, these are my mermen. So the entire full page spread of mermen. So I spotted these unusual Grecian statues, and I think they were done in bronze or copper, and with age they've turned jet black. So for some reason I thought it inspired me to make these mermen. I think I seen those real fancy black goldfish online, and I thought it would be quite interesting. And just another depiction of mermen in my merman obsession journey. And I like to imagine that these guys are, well, they're fairly close, obviously. I don't know, are they companions, lovers maybe? And they live in a sunken Grecian temple, and fairly spoiled too, and perhaps they don't have to do much hunting for themselves. Perhaps food comes in the form of someone feeding them, who knows, but they do obviously get quite a lot of food. Yeah, so these guys were done in ink, and the background it was watercolors, and I believe these are markers. And there's a little bit of metallic for their scales, a little bit of gold pen, and some gel pen for their fins. These were potentially, I had an idea of a like a greetings card design, carrying on from my constant merman obsession. If I could have printed that one out and added in a message in here, it might look quite nice, but it never got off the ground. These were done in metallic watercolor paints, and I decided to add some spines, thinking of maybe a prehistoric fish or dragon even, and perhaps they too are friends or very close companions. And I highlighted their scales in silver this time. On the opposing page, I didn't like these guys at all. I suppose it was the strange sort of position that wouldn't make sense. But I do like his particularly this minty fellow, his lovely minty tail, and the little speckles on it. I imagine like some species of fish, maybe they light up. And I gave them little horns. I particularly like Mint Guy here, is my favourite, so I might do him again. I'm not sure why mermen should have horns, but maybe dragon mermen. I wasn't sure with those guys. So they are metallic watercolours, and the background is watercolour, and these little fish shoals are metallic Staedtler pens. Oh yes, these are more of my OCs. So Brimstone, my fire mage, is using some of his flame there, and his lover or girlfriend, skeleton lady. I don't know why she's a skeleton. I don't know how I paired the two of them together. Maybe it came from an exercise of drawing skulls, but and Brimstone himself, I like to keep in 1920s sort of apparel. I think it suits him the most, and I think this little scenario came about of she accidentally stepped on his tail, and flames do come off him at moments in his life where his emotional senses are heightened, we'll say, and her as a skeleton, she doesn't necessarily know when he's too hot to handle or too hot to the touch. So yeah, there she is, gripping, touching his tail. So I'd imagine you have to get fairly close to him to allow him to be comfortable with that, but she is. And there he is using some of his flames. And oh yes, and Brimstone has a sister. She was a later development, but I thought his features are so interesting. What would they look like on a girl version? So that's how Essie, his sister, came about. And Essie is quite mischievous. but she gets along an awful lot with Skeleton Lady and seems to be completely unfazed by a living, walking, talking and sentient skeleton, and the fact it can take off its head and shake a beetle out of her head. Unlike Brimstone, who is 1920s style, and I really thought that Essie would for some reason benefit from 1950s, very girly sort of style. She has very puffball sort of dresses and a bow in her hair all the time, and sometimes on the end of her tail. I always like to think she's a little bit like the little girl from Kiki's Delivery Service. It's a nice style to think of when depicting Essie. And yeah, they've got the fire mages. They're both fire mages, I should say. They both, their feet end in little hoof toes, and they still have little toe beans on them. And there's Essie using her flame. For some reason, she tends to use it a little bit more than her brother. Maybe she's a little bit more mischievous, and that's why. But I did all of them in Ohuhu markers and black ink, and I usually do their flames in Posca pen. And this lady, she was a Draw This in Your Style challenge on Instagram. I believe the artist was Lunatazia. I am not quite sure of that name. Forgive me if I pronounce it wrong. But she had a night, and it was up to us, the viewer, to depict the night in various activities. I like to think that this girl, maybe she was a princess in a tower, and her family had a guardian sort of giant dog creature, and as a child, this dog creature was tasked with looking after this princess and guarding her, and she's grew up with him, and then maybe as she grows older, she doesn't want to be a princess anymore. She decides, I want to become a knight, and maybe this little fella here has some puppies, and one of the puppies grows into this guy and remains her faithful liege, or steed even, and she looks quite dramatic here. They're all done in, I believe he is done in paint, watercolour paint, mixed with a marker, and the sky is, I think, acrylic paint, and her armour, so mostly acrylic markers and paint. Oh yes, these are my medieval guys. So yeah, I'm quite into my medieval art, and I like to take a piece of medieval art and I like to put my own spin on it. These guys were, I believe they're called mummers in their original manuscript. So I depicted them more as, again, more slightly animalistic looking. And I like the idea of prey animals and predatory animals coming together and just celebrating. So obviously this is a rabbit lady and a wolf. They wouldn't get along like this necessarily if it wasn't fair day. And then this is a goat and a raven. My favourite obviously being a Mr. Wolf here. I think he looks still quite sinister. I don't know if they are masks or elaborate costumes. I like to think maybe not, but open to interpretation. This is another troupe of weird, very weird medieval guys. A favourite of mine being Queen Cat here. I like to think she's been carried away with the music from our violinist Fox and our Stoat here. The colours on this is a acrylic paint, and she's done in Ohuhu markers, and obviously she has metallic on her and the metallic border. Fox is also Ohuhu markers, and this strange deer lady, yeah, I think her and Weasel here are done in Ohuhus too, and highlighted in some white gel pen. And this was yet another medieval spread. So this is a strange guy. I like to think that he's a monk, and he illustrates, or he makes the ink for his medieval manuscripts. And for some reason in the monastery there's this strange goat, chicken, rooster creature, sort of a mixture of beasts, and it lays eggs, and from the eggs he's able to get this wondrous ink that he puts in his manuscripts. So this is all acrylic markers, or acrylic paint pens, and Ohuhu markers. And oh yes, this was my favourite piece I think I made so far. This is another medieval weird guys sort of spread, and I really like the way this lovely lilac background turned out, and the way they're in soft greys and blues, and the way it all matched in. The colours really popped out and really worked together, and it's always nice when that happens. So these guys, I'm not sure what they are, underworld denizens. This fellow is winged, and his companion is not winged, but I particularly like how his facial expression turned out. I think it's quite handsome. He looks very cheerful, as do the hairs, and their costumes got quite a lot of decoration on them. So that was my favourite so far. And yes, this one was a story idea I had in my head that I never developed it. So this one I called, was it the Mice of the Paladin? Sort of a play on the Knights of the Paladin, and I had an idea that this guy is a mouse Templar, and his companions are a little flying dragon cat and some sort of strange little partridge creature, or a sparrow maybe. And this guy is very brave, and these two are not. So he has to try and convince them into his journeys and his expeditions and his adventures. And again, I decked them out in a shiny dragon border. The background here is the same lilac on the other two fellows. This is lilac acrylic, and these are metallic pens, and these in here are markers. Yes, this was my second favourite medieval spread. So I went through quite a phase of medieval happenings and medieval fairs and celebrations. These guys, what did I call it? I think it was When the Boys Meet the Girls. So these guys are odd creatures. I'm not sure what they are. That's the wonderful thing about medieval manuscripts and marginalia. You never quite know what anything is in it. Those ladies look normal relatively in comparison to these guys, and one of them, so this fellow here, his design in the manuscript had strange paws. So, and quite an odd slit on his clothing, so I thought it would be quite interesting to give him a little one. So he has a little one. He's a good dad, I think. And his companion here is a centaur who I am really, really proud of. I think his skin tone is very beautiful, and his clothing is very beautiful. And these guys are charming these girls, and these girls are charming them back. And I'm really, really happy with how these ladies came out. These costumes, these clothing, they're done in Ohuhu watercolour markers. And I believe these guys are the same. This was a unfinished sketchbook page of my plans for OCs that never came to fruition, sadly. But one day they might. Forgive me for that. I must take a drink soon, but one day they may come to fruition. I'm not even sure what context was. I think I was just playing about with medieval designs on my OCs. So, and a design that if you look at an OC, are you sure if it's a he or she or both or not, maybe? And unfortunately, I must have had some Ohuhu markers here. They bled through, and I can't rescue that page, but that's okay too. And these are my medieval hares. So these guys have acrylic paint in the background, and these are my Ohuhu alcohol markers, and some metallic on the border, and they worked out really, really well. And then this was a no AI artist starter pack, little challenge, I think, or little draw along on Instagram. So I decided to depict myself, of course, pens, paint and whiskers, as a little medieval cat. And she is busy at her desk, and she's making these wonderful illuminated manuscripts. Yeah, so that was my take on the artist starter pack. And oh, doorbell. She's made in Ohuhu markers. And this is yet another medieval spread. I think my whole sketchbook was filled up with these odd medieval creatures. Once again, I'm not sure what these fellows are, other than some have wings, others have paws and long tails, but all are parents. So that's nice to see. You rarely get to see in OCs or in art, I think, convincing or somewhat convincing parents. So these ladies or guys or creatures, I'm not sure what they are, but they have these little kangaroo slits for very young babies, and when babies grow, then they can gain their independence. And their uniforms, their clothing is done in Ohuhu markers and some highlights of gold, and the background is acrylic paint pens. And that's a very large baby, so maybe a toddler, and I don't think they can fit in there anymore. But that's okay too. There's he's being carried, so he's still well cared for. And this, I think, is one of the last designs in my sketchbook. These are my medieval jester hares that I was designing or experimenting with, if I wanted to go back and do them, what costumes and clothing they should be in. So I particularly like this guy. This fellow, I do like his colour scheme, but I'm not a fan of his very complicated mask design. He is quite complicated, so I didn't do him anymore. And these two are perhaps the best of them. This guy, I really like his colour scheme and his mask, and this fellow here. So these guys were an experiment. And this lady, yes, she was another challenge or draw along on Instagram. No AI. I think she was a draw this in your own style challenge. I think so, I'm not that sure. But what I did with her was, she has watercolours and then the black ink marker and mostly metallics. And I think it really worked well. She's a very striking looking figure with very striking sort of Renaissance costume. And then this was the final page. So this was when I was at the end of every sketchbook. I tend to get a bit lazy. So this lady, she was a lazy one, but there's a reason she was a lazy one. So at this stage, I am not going into too much details, but I had a little bit of health problems and quite severe. So she was, I just wanted to draw, and I didn't plan what I wanted to draw, and just started drawing. And one of my go-tos for drawing is obviously a mermaid. And she was put in a little tear. And her background, I think, is probably the best part of her is watercolour. And the rest of her is Ohuhu markers. I didn't want to do too much with her. As I mentioned, I wasn't feeling too well, so... But that's okay too. Sketchbook is like a diary of life. And she did bleed through on this paper, even though it is quite thick paper. But unfortunately, that's what happens. And my testing sheets, they're not quite as full as any other sketchbooks. I believe, I'm not sure why, but certainly this page is far more full. And this page, there's quite a bit of a gap, but that's okay too. And then my last page was Monday, the 28th of April, 2025. So yeah, last April. And this sketchbook, Stillman and Burn. I'm not quite sure I would buy it ever again. It's 270 GSM and it's cold press surface, and like I mentioned before, quite thick. But the beta series cold press fine grain paper, I don't think I'd buy it again. It served me, and it did serve me well, but I still got quite a lot of bleed through with Ohuhu markers, unfortunately. But nothing I could do about that. But I did like, and I still do, I do like the lovely classy navy colour of the cover, and I love that it's a soft cover. There's a bit of give in it, which is always good. And my stickers, I think, are from a mixture of Etsy, Amazon, eBay even, I think. And I'm not quite sure who the original artists are, but I punched out some of these stars myself and stuck them on, and then it's got a little bit of a plasticky book cover on it just to protect it, and the little band around it. But again, I wouldn't buy a Stillman and Burn. It's suitable for artists, of course, and most people, but just my personal preference. It still bled through. But that's the joy of art. I think you're always discovering and always learning from sketchbooks and learning as you go. what suits you might not suit somebody else, and vice versa. So thank you for listening.